Alright, in this video we are going to be going over how to add sounds to your Sauerbraten map. And this is per request by Calment on one of my other videos. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that name because my German accent is not very good and I assume that's a German name. But he asked if I could go over how to add ambient sounds into a map. So I'm going to be going over that now. If anyone else has any suggestions or requests for a tutorial, just let me know in the comments and I would be happy to make one. Alright, so first thing we are going to do is open up our Sauerbraten folder because we need to find what sound we want to use in our map, just in case you don't know where those are. So let's go ahead and navigate to your Sauerbraten folder. By default, it should be in your downloads folder, downloads Sauerbraten. Unless you moved it like I did, then go ahead and find it and open it up, and you should see right what I'm seeing. And we're going to open up our packages folder, go down to sounds, and here are all the folders containing sounds that you could use in your map. Now a lot of these are just sound effects, like for the player models, grunt, die. Those are like, you know, when your player model or character dies, they'll make a little grunt sound. Those aren't really map sounds. I mean, you could use them if you felt so inclined. But there are some in here that are specifically made for map ambience. I believe Blind Abuser has one. Yes, it's rain.ogg. That's a rain sound effect for the background of your map if you have rain. And we're going to be using this as an example. And I strongly recommend downloading this VLC media player because it plays just about any audio file you can think of, including these .ogg files, which I'm not even really sure what they are, but I remember before I had this VLC media player, you had to open them up with Firefox or something weird like that. So go ahead and download that and you can open these up with no problem and listen to them and see what they sound like and decide if you want to use them. Alright, so there's a good sound that we could use. So now what we need to do is remember the file path that this sound is in. We don't need to remember the sounds folder because by default when we go to add the sounds in our map, Sauerbraten is going to know that we're talking about the sounds folder. So we just need to remember that it's in Blind Abuser and that it's rain.ogg. So it would look like this when we go to add it. Blind Abuser / rain.ogg. And we need to make sure we add that file extension too. Alright, so now that we have our sound, let's go ahead and game and add this to our map. Alright, here we are on our map. Let's go ahead and open up the CFG file. So we'll go to our main menu, editing, all the way over to CFG. This is the configuration file for the map. And this is where we're going to add our command. And that command would be map sound space and then our file path blind abuser / rain.ogg. And then there are two values that go along with this command. The first one is going to be the volume of the sound, so how loud you want the sound to be in your map. This can be from anywhere from 1 to 255. Let's go ahead and do 150. And the second command, or the second value, is going to be how many instances of that sound you can have playing at once. So if we had a bunch of different rain sounds coming from different places on the map, and at one point maybe 5 different of them overlapped and we were standing right at that spot, if we wanted to hear all 5 of those sounds, we would have this value be 5. Or more simply a -1, and -1 is an infinite amount of sounds can be playing at once. Let's just go ahead and leave it at 1 because we are going to only be using one sound right now. By default it is 1. Let's go ahead and save this and execute it. And so this is going to add the sound to our map, and since we saved it, it is going to execute this command every time we load the map, which is what we want. And now we can go ahead and add our sound entity, and that command would be new ent space sound. And then for the first sound that we just added, that is going to be the first slot, which would actually be slot 0. So this first value would be 0. The next sound in our CFG would be slot 1. So if we wanted to use that one, we would do new ent sound 1. The second value for a sound is going to be the radius, so how far away from the actual entity you can be and still hear the sound. Let's go ahead and make that 200 for now. Alright, and you can see as soon as we add it and we're inside the radius, we can hear the sound, which is perfect. However, there are some more things you can do with the sound. For instance, if you notice, the sound is right in front of us, so we can hear the sound coming from both of our left and right speakers. If we turn to the right, and the sound is now to our left, we can only hear it coming out of the left speaker, and same thing, if we turn to the left, you can only hear it coming out of the right. And if we move around the sound, or if the further we move away, the quieter it gets until it finally fades, until we're outside of the radius and we can't hear it at all. And same thing, the closer we get, the louder it gets. Now this is great for single sounds, like say, pretend this was a computer beep or something, one of those beep sounds, and pretend this box is a computer. If we had it right up to here, obviously the closer you got to the computer, the louder it would sound, and you could also hear it if it's to my right, you would hear it coming from the right. So that is great for something like that, but since this is a ambient sound that is going to envelop the entire map, because there's going to be rain all over the map, not just one in one spot, we want it to engulf the entire map. So the way we would do that is, first we're going to change the radius to so that this blue radius is actually going to cover the whole map. So we could hold down 2 and scroll, but a quicker way to do that would be to hit period, go over to the value. Let's put it up to about 700. That should cover the whole map. It looks like it does. Now what we want to do to make this more realistic, so that we're not only hearing rain coming from the center of the map, is we're going to bring up the third value to match the second value. Alright, and again, the quicker way to do that is to hit period, change that value. And now that they are even, the further away from the sound you get, it still is going to be just as loud, and also it sounds, or it comes out of both speakers at the same time, no matter where you go, no matter which way you're facing, just like as if you were in real rain. Alright, I was also asked how to name your bases for capture maps. So here we have a map. I have four bases placed around without names. So what we're gonna have to do is go find our bases. Here's one right here, and we're gonna change the second value. The first value will be the ammo for that base. So this one is base 4. 4 is for the rifle rounds. The second value of the base is going to be the slot we use to name these bases. So let's change this one to base 1. Hold down 2 and scroll up. Change that to base 1. Let's change this one to base 2. This one to base 3, and the last one to base 4. And now let's go ahead and save the map to save these changes. Let's go to our CFG, scroll down to where we have some room. Let's go ahead, I just like to do this, you don't need to do this, but I like to keep my CFG organized. Bases, and then the command is going to be base _1 for the first base, base 1 equals quotation marks, and then this is where you name your base. So let's name that one the dock. And then base 2, same thing, base _2 space equals space base 2, let's call that the throne. Base underscore 3 equals, let's call this under the bridge. And base underscore 4 equals, let's call this the back stairs. Alright, let's save this, and we don't need to execute it because it will be executed as soon as we load it in capture mode. So let's do region capture / region capture legacy, and since we saved the map, our base changes should still be there. Let's load it up, and these should have names. Yep, there we go. Under the bridge. Here's the back stairs. Here's the dock, and up here should be the throne. Alright, so that is how you change bases. Pretty simple.